I'll do a quick introduction here. I'm Miguel Corteguera, and I'm part of our customer success unit. And within that overall unit, I'm part of a modern work technical strategy team. So I do quite a bit with converged communication, Teams Premium, Contact Center, Extensibility, and all that good stuff. I'm very happy to see this feature come forward. We've been talking about it internally for a long time, and it was actually great being at Enterprise Connect where it was introduced. You able to see my slides there?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. So agenda-wise, here's what we got. When I was thinking about the flow for this, the first thing that came to mind is, all right, we'll jump right into it. But then I thought, there's might be some in the audience that are not familiar with what Dynamics 365 Contact Center is, or what options are available for third-party contact centers that are certified for Teams. So I'm gonna take a couple slides and just touch on that real quick, provide a few reference points. We might also have, I didn't verify, Edgar Wilson with us in the audience. He's a product manager on the Dynamics 365 Contact Center side. Oh, I see him popped in. He was just promoted there or just came in. So thank you for joining, Edgar, and helping out. Edgar actually, Edgar actually did a session as part of Teams Phone Summit on Dynamics 365 Contact Center back in the December timeframe. So I have the link for that in the resources slide. So we'll share that at the end. So we'll do a quick overview on that. We'll jump right into what Teams Phone Extensibility is and what the benefits are. We'll talk about it from a Dynamics 365 Contact Center perspective and from a ISV partner certified contact center perspective. And then before we wrap up, I wanted to touch a little bit on Azure Communication Services. So Azure Communication Services is our communication platform as a service, and it actually powers all of this functionality that we're going to talk about here. So for those that are curious a little bit about how it works, but also for those that might want to leverage this to build your own customized applications and solutions. If you have some very specific needs, if you have very talented developers, and you have your own custom applications, that is an option that's available to solve these kind of technical challenges. And then I'll share some resources, and we'll jump right into Q&A. I have my chat up here in another screen, so I'll try to glance at it between transitions and see if there's anything hot. But with that, let's jump into Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So that is our first-party contact center as a service solution from Microsoft. It went generally available last July, but its predecessor, which used to be called the Digital Contact Center Platform, had been around long before that. So it's new from its current naming, but it's not like a 1.0 product that we just came out with. It's been around. There have been some significant enhancements, though, from its predecessor. One of those is in the architecture, and that is what's allowing us to bring this topic to market that we just introduced. And other enhancements. The other significant enhancement to it is the ability to support third-party CRM, so things like Salesforce and ServiceNow, and even custom CRMs. So those are supported with Dynamics 365 Contact Center. And then the other significant enhancement is all of the investment that we've made around Copilot and AI, and I'll talk about that here in the next slide. So if I had to pick one solution just to visualize, or one slide to just visualize what Dynamics 365 Contact Center is, this is the first one that comes to mind. So as you expect, it's a fully multi-channel contact center. These are not all an inclusive list of all the channels available. These are just the most popular one. There's more that are available if you refer to our documentation. For example, WhatsApp messaging is a recent one that became available. So you can expect to find the normal features that you can find in any high-end fully featured contact center, multiple channels, intelligent assistant. By the way, one of the questions we typically get on the contact center side is, hey, what are you doing with Nuance? And you acquired them a few years ago, and all that technology and intelligence from Nuance is being folded and has been folded into our Copilot Studio platform for self-service. There's a unified routing engine that handles all of those channels, and then that gets the calls off to our service representatives. I do want to touch on real quick on the AI piece of this and the Copilot functionality within it. It's not just marketing that we wrapped around it and put it in a slide. I've been in several boot camps for this solution and done several deep dives, and I can vouch that there is AI functionality, from end to end in this solution. So everything that you might expect, like in self-service, and being able to use generative AI to interface with callers, but also in the routing piece of it to be able to make decisions on what best agents can serve that customer. And then once it gets to the agents, to be able to inform the agent on things like the customer sentiment, to be able to take that transcript live and listen in for keywords and make suggestions to the agents on ways to address the customer's problem, or services to bring up for recommendations and next best action and that sort of stuff. And then also AI from the perspective of supervisors and service leaders to understand all these calls that are coming in and which ones are being effective. Are there some channels that are being more effective than others? How's the customer sentiment tracking across all these different engagements and throughout time? Is it trending up? Is it trending down? Or are there different groups that are providing much better service, or different channels that are providing much better service? So it's that 360-degree view of the customer, and being able to have an informed view and decision into the whole the whole business or organization that it's supporting. So that is the 50,000 view of the Dynamics Contact Center. And we'll jump over to certified third-party contact centers on Teams. These have been around for many years. So Teams is an open platform, so anyone can really develop a contact center on top of Teams. We're not restricting ISVs or partners or anyone from doing that. But what we do offer is a certification program, and this program is like you can think of it like a sanity check for customers. It provides, if you have a vendor that's listed in this program, it provides validation that these partners have met a minimum set of criteria in functionality and compatibility in interfacing with Microsoft and having contacts with our product teams and our engineering teams to have a solution that we put our stamp of approval on it, that they've gone through this program. So this program continues to be invested on. When I started tracking these partners for another presentation that I have, that's different options for contact center with Teams, we had about 17 partners about 2 years ago, and now it's up to 30 certified partners, and there's 6 more on the way. You have the links on this page that cover the list of partners. The first link there with the aka.ms has the list of partners that are in progress. So you can always validate if you're working with a partner that says, hey, we're not certified yet, but we're in progress in the program. You can view it in that portal. And then the link below is not a Microsoft link. It's a third-party resource from an organization called Empowering Cloud. And this is a community organization that's run and powered by several of our MVPs. And they have a great resource there that's a chart of about a dozen or so criteria for these partners in terms of functionality they support, how are they licensed, their go-to-market model, features they support, and things like that. And it's something that's very helpful for customers that might be interested in a solution and they just want to see, hey, how do these 30 ISVs compare in terms of functionality? So we don't offer that from a Microsoft perspective, but this has been a really good resource. And this is something I'll flash up here just for reference real quick. If some of you are not familiar with these ISVs and you want to take a quick glance at the logo, this is actually a screenshot from the second link in the previous slide. So you can always go in there and validate who the partners are. On the web portal, these links, these logos are clickable, so you can click on the partner logo and it'll take you to their landing page where you can engage with that partner and get more information and all that good stuff. All right, so with that, let's jump into the meat of it. So at Enterprise Connect a couple weeks back, we introduced this thing called Teams Phone Extensibility. And we introduced it for Dynamics 365 Contact Center, which we'll talk about first. And then it also applies to our ISV partners. So we'll talk a little bit about after that. It is starting public preview this month. I was hoping that by the time we had this presentation that the documentation on the Learn site would be updated and I could just put it in there as a resource and maybe even take a couple screenshots and all that, but it's not posted yet. So we're waiting. Hopefully in the next couple weeks here, by the end of the month, it'll be available. So public preview is starting now this month, and that's what it's scheduled for. General availability is the next question we get, and that is planned for summer. Like any other roadmap feature, summer we're being a little bit tentative there because it's like any other roadmap feature that's under agile development. It goes by the feedback we get and the quality of the product. We don't want to nail down a date and ship something that's not ready. Also, for specific ISV partners, please make sure to check with them because each one of them will have a different date depending on how their program and the process is going. So on the Dynamics side, I mentioned we introduced Dynamics 365 Contact Center last July when it went generally available, and it's had a great reception in the market. But one challenge that we've had with our existing customers that have Teams Phone is that if you look at it from an architecture perspective, you've had Teams Phone and it's got its own like PSTN options. And then there was the Dynamics Contact Center, and the way to get PSTN connectivity for voice calls into that Dynamics Contact Center was through Azure Communication Services, but it wasn't tied into Teams Phone. You could use Azure Communication Services with direct routing with its own SBC connectivity, or you could use native phone numbers within Azure, but they were in no way tied to Teams Phone. So the natural questions we get from Teams Phone customers were like, hey, I already have all these these numbers in Teams Phone, or even more practical. Let's say I have these numbers that are part of Operator Connect, and I just have my contract with this operator. Can I leverage those? And the answer to that was no. It's a separate connectivity method, and it wasn't a great answer. So this Teams Phone Extensibility solves this challenge, and at a high level, what it does is it takes Teams Phone and it extends that PSTN connectivity from Teams Phone, and then it allows the Dynamics 365 Contact Center to leverage that PSTN connectivity. So benefits of it are a simplified architecture, right? You don't need to have these two different ways from two different platforms to connect to the PSTN. It provides for improved capabilities, things like E911 and the compliance reporting right out of Teams that can be leveraged for the contact center. It also provides greater choice and coverage for operators. So whatever PSTN connectivity you have for Teams Phone, and we'll talk a little bit more about the details in the next slide, you can just leverage that for your contact center if you go with Dynamics 365. So you don't need to worry about, hey, how am I going to do PSTN for that? And then along with all that, we have the possibility of having lower cost than it being separate. So there are some folks in our product marketing teams that are working with a third party on a whole study for that. So I don't have specific numbers and I don't want to start guessing here just based on different conversations, but expect us to publish some information for that in the future as we get closer to GA. Now, let's take a closer look at this. So at a high level, you have Teams Phone down here. And one of the common questions that we get when we talk about this is hey, which of the PSTN connectivity methods for Teams Phone are supported with this? And happy to say that calling plans, direct routing, and operator connect are all supported for connectivity into Dynamics 365 as a choice of PSTN connectivity. So there's no longer a need for you to deploy a separate PSTN for that. It's also a much simpler onboarding process compared to how we had to do it before with Dynamics 365. Let's go ahead and take a look at a video here. This will provide a high-level overview of the integration. It'll show you the admin experience of configuring it with Dynamics and Teams. And then it'll also show the agent experience at the end. And then once we come back, I'm going to go back to another slide and I'm going to do a deeper dive here on the configuration process. So if you want to, have a little bit more information on that after the video, don't worry, because that's what we're going to jump right into. So let me play the video.
Contact centers are key to exceptional customer support and business growth, yet many struggle with integrating AI-driven experiences and multiple channels efficiently. Teams Phone integrated with Dynamics 365 Contact Center offers an extensive array of functionalities across multiple geographies, all at a highly competitive price, enabling customers to leverage the Teams Phone and any telephony options offered by Teams, such as calling plans, Teams Direct Routing, and Operator Connect, and configure them in the Dynamics Contact Center. Let's walk through a scenario. Olivia is the Dynamics administrator. She navigates to Dynamics Admin Center and enables voice as a channel. She notes Dynamics ID and hands it to Tom, Teams telephony administrator. Tom acquired a Teams service phone number in Teams Admin Center and associated it with Dynamics using PowerShell. The phone number is now ready to be configured in Dynamics. Now Olivia can assign the Teams service number to Dynamics Voice AI companions and enable escalation to call queues. With that, agents in the Dynamics Contact Center can now receive calls from customers through the Teams service number. Integrating Teams Phone with Dynamics Contact Center lowers telephony cost, expands geographic reach, and simplifies onboarding, making it easier for businesses to deliver exceptional customer experience.
All right, so hope that was helpful to visualize it. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail here. So I've actually used the same names here on this slide to keep it simple. We're showing this as two different personas within the business configuring this. It obviously could be a single person that's doing it all, but in a large organization, you're likely to have a different administrator for the contact center than you are for Teams Phone. So let's get started here. So Olivia is our Dynamics administrator, and she goes into the Dynamics configuration admin center, and she'll go in and enable the voice channel. Behind the scenes, that is automatically reaching out to Azure Communication Services and doing a configuration change there. Now, the key items for this, as mentioned in the video, is there are two identifiers that get provided back to Olivia that are going to be the binding keys to link up Dynamics and Teams Phone. So she'll take that resource ID and the app ID and hand it off to the Teams administrator, who in this case is Tom. So what Tom will do is acquire a phone number, and this step is optional. It could be that Tom already has phone numbers available for this. But Tom, let's say it's a brand new configuration. Tom will request a phone number. This could be through a calling plan, operator connect, or direct routing. And then Tom will take that resource ID and the app ID and run a PowerShell command. Yes, it does have to be a PowerShell command, at least for the time being. And when Tom runs that command, that'll take that number in Teams, that service number, and bind that to Dynamics. So that is how this marries up for the configuration. One key thing that I'll point out here that's shown down here in step 4 is Tom does have to assign licenses to users. So all of the agents that are supported within these contact centers, and this applies to the Dynamics 365 Contact Center, as well as the partner ISV solutions. The requirement is they have to be licensed for Teams Phone. And then Tom also has to license the resource account. That is no different than how Teams works today. So for those of you that are familiar with Teams, what you'll see here is that like 90% of this is what you do today to enable a call queue or an automated attendant to be able to bring them up on Teams. We're taking that same approach, the resource account, license, phone number tied to it, to be able to extend that into the contact center solutions that are outside of Teams. So at this point, after step 4 here, Tom is done. He's got his phone number, he's got a resource account, he's got the users licensed, and he's run the PowerShell command to tie that together to the identifiers in Dynamics. So at this point, Olivia takes back over again. She goes into the customer service admin center for Dynamics, does a sync. It's a single button to press, and that refreshes that configuration. That phone number now shows up, and then Olivia is able to configure the voice channel. That is no different than how it works today in Dynamics using the native ACS numbering. This is just a regular configuration for the voice channel. So that is the process. Look out for the documentation on this, which will hopefully be published over the next couple of weeks, and you'll be set to go with. All right, so we talked about Dynamics. Let's jump over and talk about our contact center partners. That one has been a little bit different in terms of connectivity models. It's been around a lot longer. So this first part here on the page is actually right from our documentation. I took a snapshot of it earlier this week. So this is the link to get to it. And what you'll see here is there have been 2 models previously, and there's a third one now that is the Teams Phone Extensibility. So originally, when we came up with integration models for our contact center partners, there was something called the Connect model. And that was basically using a SIP trunk and direct routing. So it was almost like a peer-to-peer relationship where a partner solution would send calls to Teams, or from Teams, they would send calls over to the partner solution. So like a very limited and very legacy way to do things. Later on, we came out with the Extend model, and this was a step up in functionality. And this allowed the partner solutions to use a Graph API to connect to Teams Phone and provide much greater functionality. And that's where we've been up to today. Now, if you go back to that documentation, it's funny because we've always had this reference to something called the Power model, and it's always said coming soon. And I've been at Microsoft almost 3 years, and I've seen that coming soon reference there. And it's I'm happy to say that soon is almost here now. So what we've been calling the Power model for all of these years is what we announce now as Teams Phone Extensibility. So this uses Azure Communication Services, and it uses an SDK, a software development kit that the partner solution leverages within it to be able to have a richer set of functionality within that contact center platform. I did keep the Graph API here on this slide because in the real world scenario, it's something that we'll see. Both things being used. Not all of the functionality is provided within Azure Communication Services. So Graph is still used for many items in configuration and presence status and in things like that. So these partners and solutions are going to continue to use both. But for the Teams Phone Extensibility, aka the Power Model, the main point of connectivity and functionality for those calls and the media and call control is through the Azure Communication Services SDK. So these are the launch partners. We also enterprise. So these are only 6 of our current 30 partners that are certified. You can expect to see more partners join this group over time, but these are the 6 that are launching now. If you have any questions in terms of availability or feature set, functionality, or anything like that, please reach out to those partners specifically, and they can talk about their own specific solutions. All right, so with that, let's jump into Azure Communication Services and talk about that a little bit. So I would expect that most of you in this call are going to leverage out-of-the-box solutions, whether that's the Dynamics 365 Contact Center or some of our ISV partners. However, some of you might be curious on how this all works behind the scenes. And also, some of you might be interested in maybe building a specialized solution for different needs in the organization. Say you have a custom application and you want to embed calling or video functionality within it, and tie that into Teams from an interoperability perspective. Use that Teams identity for that. So I'm going to cover this at a high level, similar to what I did at the beginning with Dynamics and the partners, but just to kind of give you a taste and for you to be aware of what's out there. So Azure Communication Services is our communication platform as a service. The services behind it are actually what powers Teams and what powers Dynamics 365 from like a media, voice video perspective. Provided by it are granular services like being able to do SMS and calling and telephony, meetings and email and all that good stuff. And what you can do as a customer or as an ISV, as a partner, is leverage that to build your own custom application. And this is, in fact, what our ISV partners are doing to leverage this functionality for the Teams Phone Extensibility. So one example of this, and this is a fairly common use case, I would say, is you as a customer have an application. This could be a custom application that's a web portal. And then within this application, I want to provide users the ability to make a phone call right out of there, right? So if I'm Alice over here and I have this web portal open with my custom business application, and I need to make a call to Megan, who's my customer, I don't want to have to go to Teams and dial that number and then jump over to another screen. I want to do it right from this application. And what you can leverage is the Azure Communication Services SDK that gets embedded into that web portal and that application. And now Alice can click on Megan's contact here, and the SDK will communicate back up with Teams, and that call will be placed, and it'll be using Alice's identity, her same Teams phone number. If you go back to Teams, it'll be reflected in that call log. It'll take advantage of any policies that Alice has as far as dialing permissions. If Alice has any requirements for call recording, for compliance recording, it'll leverage that within Teams as well. So it truly is that using that Teams identity. You can think of it almost as it being another instance of Teams, like you bring up a web browser with Teams and you make a call from there, but instead of it being separate, it's within the business application. So I included a link here at the bottom, and it's also in the resources. If you go to the Azure Communication Services documentation, you'll have detailed diagrams for this. It'll have sample code, and it'll have links to quick starts where you can get started with these use cases. And then the other example I have here is also a little bit of an eye chart, but I like it because it just shows a breadth of different use cases that you can support. So over here on the left, these are pure Azure ones, so these don't involve anything with Teams. But you can see here how you can make phone calls in the PSTN. You can have different applications that you can embed this communication into. But over here on the right, you can see different examples with Teams. So for example, I could have a web page for my external customers that are just out there open to the world, that if they wanted to talk to someone in my organization, I can do a click to call, and then I can send that call to a particular person in Teams, or I could send it to an auto attendant or a call queue in Teams. So that is all possible. And then the reverse of that, I could have a web application internally, just like I showed in the previous slide, that has the identity of my Teams user. So a lot of flexibility here in Azure Communication Services. So with that, a bit on the resources here. I'm going to take this and put it on the chat as well for anyone that's interested in copying and pasting it. A couple things here. All of the announcements from Enterprise Connect, the Teams Phone Extensibility was just one out of like dozens of announcements that we included there in that event. The next one here is the presentation that Edgar Wilson did for us a couple months back as part of Teams Phone Summit. For those of you that are interested in learning more about Dynamics 365 Contact Center, please check that out. And then I've got the documentation link for the Dynamics 365 Contact Center. And for those of you that are interested in going deeper with it, there is a free trial that you can access, and you can enable a tenant with it. And then a little bit on the ISVs, so that'll take you to the page that has all the information for our partners. And then last but not least, Azure Communication Services, the main landing page for it. And just in time, we have a fundamental series that are going on this month. The ones that haven't been done live yet are recorded out there. So if you missed some of them already that you might be interested in, the recordings are out there. Each of these are about 20 minutes, and it's great because it's an overview of the functionality. One of them is on SMS. There's one for calling that is taking place next week. There's one for email, and I forgot what the fourth one is, but check it out if you're interested in ACS. And with that, that's a wrap. So Don and Jonathan, Edgar as well, anything out there in the chat that you want to bring up, or if not, we can open it up for live Q&A.
There was one I want to make sure that we address. So I'm going to butcher her name, so I apologize. Calliope asked, in Teams phone integration with D365 Contact Center, should we configure a call queue as well? And I'm assuming that's going to be a Teams call queue as well to populate the agents, or just use the RA license and the number assigned and the D365 agents just assigned for the Teams phone without the number.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yep. So for the Dynamics integration, you just set up the resource account, you run the PowerShell commands, and then from there on, Dynamics 365 owns that number, and that'll have its own routing. So you do not configure a Teams call queue for that.
Perfect.
I see one.
And I know.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Miguel. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I just saw one from Keith pop in there. Is MSCC the same as Dynamics 365? So let's see. So terminology wise, there was a previous name called Digital Contact Center Platform. We've moved away from that name, and the Microsoft Contact Center is Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So I'm not sure which one MSCC refers to. If you want to come off mute, Keith or Edgar, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah. So, there was previously Dynamics 365, and then there was what was called the Omnichannel add-on. That is essentially morphed into what the Dynamics 365 Contact Center is. However, we've made it composable so it can work with other CRMs, and you don't have to take everything that's in Dynamics Contact Center. And you can also use Contact Center without using the core CRM capabilities of Dynamics 365 customer service. So if you don't want cases or any of the case management functionality, you would be using Dynamics 365 Contact Center, what we call standalone. So they can be conjoined, Contact Center and Dynamics Customer Service, or you could use it in a composable fashion. Just
Okay,
depends
so
on
my
the
question
customer.
was, so if I had omni-channel and CRM connections and all that, I'm gonna have to go Dynamics 365 then, I'm assuming.
So when you say you had omni-channel and connections, what type of connections?
Well, no, I'm saying if I have omni-channel, so if I have texting, if I have web chat,
Mhm.
and voice, and then I'm also using a CRM to connect into my contact center. If I want to utilize all those functions and features, I need to go full on Dynamics 365.
That's correct. Or Dynamics 365 Contact Center, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That really sums it up. Thank you.
And it looks like we have a question that was just dropped in. What license is needed in D365 to enable the voice channel side of things?
Yeah, so it's our Dynamics 365 Contact Center voice license, and I'll send some. Looking up the documentation I can send to you, so you can go either the digital route or voice, or you can go with both. And this site that I'm posting in the chat, it kind of breaks down the details of that.
Yep.
So if you just wanted voice, you would go with the Dynamics Contact Center voice license.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think the other thing too is make sure everybody's check out that link of the YouTube session that Edgar did back in December that talks about D365, because I know one of the questions we just answered was external CRMs not having to use D365, and he addresses that in that session a little bit. But that's a great session overall about what the precursor to all this stuff that Miguel was kind of talking about. So make sure you take some time and look at that. Any other questions? If you want to raise your hand and come off mute and ask, that would be appropriate. All right. I'm thinking, Miguel, Edgar, I think you've nailed all the questions so far. So thank you. Appreciate you guys jumping in and doing that for today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having
All
me.
right. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. We're going to finish up.
Let's bring it on home, as I say.
That's right.
Yeah, that was great. I appreciate all that goodness that Miguel and Edgar and everybody else brought. Don't forget, I just want to bring it back. AOSP, right? We've got that coming next month. We'll be sending out the link later today or tomorrow. Don and I'll get it out. And June, July, we're off, as I mentioned. So lots of really great information coming. I think the AOSP updates is going to be a really hot one. So thanks to Miguel for doing that. But
actually, there's one more question. Hang on, Jonathan. I remembered. Barry was asking about, hey, is that public preview happening, Miguel? I'm gonna bring you on quick again. And how that the site, where are we gonna get that information? Like, do we have to just literally watch the site and wait for it to pop up? Or is there, sometimes what ends up happening, they being the product group, will publish something out on Teams blog or something to be able to say, hey, what's going on? Any idea, any of that information, and the best way to be able to be on top of it when it does come out?
Yeah, I would keep an eye on some of the blogs and social media for that. On the Learn site, there is a What's New section, so that's probably one that I would keep an eye on. And
Okay.
Or
and then
even,
there's a blog as well. And Edgar, do you have any suggestions there as
Nope,
well?
I think he maybe dropped off. So
Okay.
I'll ping him and see if he has any suggestions.
and I think if we do see anything, we'll post something in our Microsoft phone
Absolutely.
community.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll
So
make sure
we'll
to
let
do
you
that.
know when things are getting hot. We'll put it in the need to know if we have a
All
need to know chat. But